Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to my little corner of stories and reflections, where every voice matters and every life has something beautiful to teach us. Today, I want to introduce you to someone truly special. Her name is Eleanor Thompson, a 73-year-old woman whose journey will linger in your heart long after this story ends. Eleanor is not just a retiree. She's a quiet force of resilience, grace, and renewal, a living testament to the idea that life doesn't stop at 70. In fact, for her, that's when it truly began to bloom. In a world that often forgets or overlooks the elderly, Eleanor chose to reclaim her place. She transformed loneliness into introspection, routine into ritual, and ordinary days into moments of quiet wonder. From her little home, nestled in the hills of Asheville, North Carolina, she learned how to live not just with time, but within it. So today, let's walk beside her. Let's learn from her stillness, her strength, and her stunning ability to find poetry in the simple act of being. This is not just the story of a woman growing older. It's the story of a woman growing wiser, braver, and more alive with every passing day. Dawn gently blankets the quiet suburban neighborhood of Asheville, North Carolina. Classic American homes with manicured green lawns nestle under the shade of towering oak trees. At the corner of the street, in a white house with green-trimmed windows, Eleanor Thompson, a 73-year-old woman, stands on her front porch, taking a deep breath. The early sunlight glints off her neatly tied silver hair, and her blue eyes sparkle with a vitality rare for her age. Eleanor holds a small watering can, tending to the clusters of daisies in her garden with slow, deliberate care. Her movements are gentle but steady, as if each sprinkle of water is a whispered word of love to every petal. Nearby, her golden retriever, Buddy, sprawls on the grass, his tail wagging lazily whenever Eleanor glances his way. "Good morning, Buddy," Eleanor says, her voice warm and inviting. "What shall we do today to make this day unforgettable?" She sets the watering can down, wipes her hands on her floral-patterned apron, and steps into the kitchen. In the bright, airy space filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, Eleanor prepares breakfast, a bowl of oatmeal topped with fresh blueberries, walnuts, and a drizzle of honey. A glass of water with a slice of lemon sits beside it. She settles at the table, gazing out the window, where birds flit from branch to branch. "I used to think old age meant everything slows down," Eleanor says, as if confiding in herself. "But now I know, if you can still get up every morning, take care of yourself, and find joy in the little things, you're not just living longer, you're living fully." 10 years ago, Eleanor wasn't the vibrant woman she is today. At 63, she lived in a small apartment in Charlotte, a few hours' drive from Asheville. Her life was a monotonous cycle: coffee in the morning, TV in the afternoon, and bedtime, with a handful of pills on her nightstand. High blood pressure, aching joints, and unexplained fatigue made her feel trapped in her own body. One fall afternoon, Eleanor sat in her armchair, staring out the window. A light rain fell, mirroring her dreary mood. On the table lay a health magazine with a bold headline, "Thriving After 60, What's the Secret?" She flipped through a few pages, but sighed and closed it. "Secrets," she muttered, "just empty promises." But the next day, something small shifted. Eleanor got a call from Margaret, an old high school friend, inviting her to a senior dance class at the community center. "You don't have to be good, Ellie," Margaret said over the phone, her voice brimming with excitement. "Just come and laugh with us." Eleanor hesitated, dancing, At her age, she hadn't danced since her senior prom. And even then, she was clumsy. But something in Margaret's voice, its warmth, its sincerity, convinced her to say yes. That day, at the community center, Eleanor stepped into a bright room with polished wooden floors. Soft jazz music played, and a group of seniors practiced basic swing steps. She lingered in the corner, feeling out of place. Then Frank, a 70-year-old man with a radiant smile, approached and extended his hand. "Care to dance with me?" he asked. Eleanor blushed but took his hand. Her first steps were awkward. She even stepped on Frank's toes a few times. But instead of embarrassment, she burst into laughter. A loud, natural laugh she hadn't realized she'd forgotten. "Sorry, I'm terrible," she said, still chuckling. "Terrible," Frank replied, winking. "You're lighting up this whole room." That night, as she returned home, Eleanor felt a spark of new energy, not because she danced well, but because she had moved. Her body, though slower, was still capable of doing something joyful, something meaningful. From that moment, she vowed not to let age define her. Secret 1. Keep your body moving. Today in Asheville, Eleanor starts each day with a simple ritual: walking. She slips on her gray sneakers, pops in earbuds with a Norah Jones playlist, and heads to the nearby trail. The winding paths weave through pine forests, and the crisp air makes her feel like she's breathing in the entire world. "I'm no athlete," Eleanor says, as if chatting with an invisible friend. "But I've learned that if you can still walk for 30 minutes a day, around the block, in a park, or even through a grocery store, you're telling your body it still has work to do." One morning, Eleanor met Dr. Susan Carter, a geriatrician, at a community health workshop. Susan, with her salt and pepper hair and confident demeanor, stood before the crowd, holding a colorful chart. "Movement isn't just exercise," Susan said. "It's how you remind your heart, lungs, and bones they're still vital. Just 150 minutes of light activity a week, brisk walking, gardening, or dancing, can cut your risk of heart disease by 30% and add 5 to 7 years to your life." Eleanor sat in the audience, jotting notes carefully. After the talk, she approached Susan. "I can't run or go to the gym," she said, her voice tinged with worry. "Is that enough?" Susan smiled. "Eleanor, it's more than enough. Every step you take is a gift to yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Just keep moving." From then on, Eleanor made movement a part of her life. She joined a gentle yoga class at the community center, where she learned to breathe deeply and listen to her body. She gardened, pulling weeds and planting flowers with the joy of a child. She even tried biking around the neighborhood, slowly but with pride. One day, while walking with Buddy, Eleanor saw an 80-year-old man pushing a lawnmower across his yard. She stopped and waved. "Doing that at your age? That's impressive," she called. The man grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. "Young lady, as long as I keep moving, I'm alive." Eleanor nodded, feeling a deep connection. He's right, she thought. As long as I keep moving, I'm alive. Secret 2. Nourish your body. In Eleanor's kitchen, the scent of toasted bread fills the air. She's preparing a simple yet vibrant lunch, a grilled chicken sandwich with lettuce, tomato, and avocado, paired with a bowl of kale salad, drizzled with homemade lemon dressing. A glass of unsweetened iced tea sits nearby. "I used to live on burgers and fries," Eleanor admits with a soft laugh. "But now I see eating as more than filling up. It's how I care for the home my heart lives in." Back in Charlotte, Eleanor relied on convenience foods. frozen pizza, store-bought cookies, and soda. But after embarking on her journey of change, she joined a nutrition class at the local library. The instructor, Nancy, a dietitian with a soothing voice, transformed how Eleanor viewed food. At your age, Nancy said, your body needs fewer calories but more nutrients. Think of food as friends. Choose the ones that are good for you. Greens, fruits, fish, nuts, they're loyal companions. Eleanor started small. She bought fresh produce from the farmer's market, learned to bake salmon with herbs, and swapped soda for homemade lemon water. Once, in the grocery store, she picked up her favorite chocolate chip cookies, then smiled and put them back. Not today, she told herself. Dr. Susan, at another workshop, elaborated. Foods rich in omega-3s, like salmon, fiber from vegetables, and protein from beans or eggs, help maintain muscle, boost immunity, and keep your heart strong. And don't forget water, at least 8 glasses a day. At this age, your body needs extra care. Eleanor didn't abandon her favorites entirely. On weekends, she enjoys a slice of homemade apple pie, made with a lighter crust and a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Life needs joy, she says, but 80% of the time I choose what makes me feel strong. One evening, dining with her daughter Laura and 2 grandkids, Eleanor looked at her colorful plate. Roasted veggies, quinoa, and a piece of turkey, and felt grateful. Laura noticed the change. "Mom, you look healthier than ever," she said. Eleanor smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Sweetheart, I'm just learning to love myself better." Secret 3. Keep your mind sharp. One afternoon, Eleanor sits in her living room, pencil in hand, tackling a crossword puzzle. Sunlight streams through the window, illuminating her face as she grins at solving a tricky clue. Her bookshelf holds a stack of new reads, Toni Morrison novels, books on the cosmos. "I used to think the mind slows with age," Eleanor says. "But if you can still learn something new, a word, a recipe, or how to use a smartphone, you're keeping your brain young." 3 years ago, Eleanor joined a photography class at the community center. At first, it was just to pass the time, but she discovered a passion. Her photos of dew-kissed petals or her grandkids' smiles aren't perfect, but brim with emotion. Each time she picks up her camera, she feels like she's rediscovering the world. Dr. Susan once said in a talk, "Stimulating your brain through reading, learning new skills, or playing mind games can slow cognitive decline. Active minds have a significantly lower risk of Alzheimer's." Eleanor took this to heart in her own way. She joined a book club where she debates novels with enthusiasm. She learned chess with her grandson, laughing when she loses. She even tried Spanish via an app, just to say hola to her new neighbor. One evening, watching a documentary about the ocean, Eleanor felt a childlike curiosity stir. She jotted down fascinating facts, as if prepping for a test. "I don't need to remember it all," she thought. "Learning keeps me alive." Secret 4. Connect with love. One Sunday afternoon, Eleanor's backyard hums with laughter. Her family gathers, Laura and her husband, 2 grandkids, and old friends. An outdoor table is laden with salads, grilled meats, and homemade cookies. Eleanor sits in the center, hugging her granddaughter, her heart brimming. "Nothing matters more than the people you love," she says. "If you can still call a friend, share a story, or just listen, you're living a life worth living." Back in Charlotte, Eleanor felt lonely after retirement. Friends drifted, and her kids were busy. But after dancing with Frank, she decided to change. She joined community activities, volunteered at a charity, and called Margaret weekly to chat. Dr. Susan once stressed, "Loneliness is a major risk in old age. Strong social ties mean longer lives, less depression, and faster recovery from illness. A hug, a conversation, that's the strongest medicine." Eleanor revived an old habit, writing letters to friends. She hosted game nights with neighbors, where they played cards and laughed until their sides ached. Once, noticing a quiet new neighbor, Eleanor knocked on her door with a plate of cookies. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said, sparking a friendship. One morning, walking with Margaret, Eleanor paused and looked at her friend. "Thank you for pulling me out of my shell back then," she said, her voice catching. Margaret squeezed her hand. "Ellie, you were always a light. I just helped you flip the switch." Secret 5. Find meaning every day. One day, Eleanor stood before a group of kids at the local library, sharing tales of her cross-country trip in her youth. The children listened, eyes wide, as she described the Grand Teton Mountains. When she finished, a girl raised her hand. "Miss Eleanor, are you scared of getting old?" Eleanor smiled. "Sweetie, I'm not scared, because every day I try to do something meaningful, even if it's small. That's how I keep my heart young." She started a journal, noting beautiful moments, a sunset, a grandkid's compliment, the joy of a new rose blooming. "I don't need fame or fortune," she wrote. "I just want to leave a little light in the world." Dr. Susan once said, "A sense of purpose, caring for family, helping the community, or chasing a passion is key to longevity. It feeds your soul." Eleanor found meaning in small acts. She volunteered to teach kids art at the community center, planted trees in the park, and meditated each morning for peace. Once, helping an elderly neighbor clear their yard, she felt her heart expand. "I don't know if I'll live to 100, she says, "but I know every day I live is worthwhile." The sun slowly dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the Blue Ridge Mountains in Asheville, North Carolina. Eleanor Thompson stood on Looking Glass Hill, a place she often came to reflect and feel alive. The evening breeze gently swept through her silver hair, carrying the scent of pine and earth. She closed her eyes, let her arms relax, and took a deep breath as if embracing the whole world. In that moment, Eleanor was not just a 73-year-old woman. She was the embodiment of hope, of strength, and of a heart that had never stopped beating for life. She opened her eyes, gazing out at the valley stretching before her. The misty mountains stood steadfast, as they had for millions of years, and Eleanor thought of her own journey. From the weary days in Charlotte, when she believed old age was a sentence, to now, when every step, every meal, every smile was a victory. She turned back, as if knowing that somewhere out there, thousands were listening to her story. People also wondering whether they could find light again in the twilight years of life. "You know, I can't say for sure that I'll live to be 100. None of us knows what tomorrow holds. But I do know this: if today you can still stand up, step outside, and feel the sunlight on your face, if you can still cook a meal to nourish your body, learn a new song, or call someone just to say, 'I miss you,' then you're not just alive, you're shining. And that light, it never gets old. It doesn't care if you're 65, 75, or 85. It just needs you to give it a chance to burn bright. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be as strong as you were at 20 or as agile as those people on TV. You just have to be you, with all your scars, your smiles, and the dreams that never faded. Start today. Take a walk around the block. Try a new recipe. Call that friend you haven't spoken to in years. Write down something you want to learn and promise yourself that you will live, truly live, every single day. I believe in you. I believe there's still a fire within you, waiting to be ignited. You deserve a life full of joy, health, and purpose. And you can do it. I did, and so will you. Live well, live meaningfully. It's never too late to begin. I share this story to remind you that we all have a story worth living, worth telling. If you find even a little inspiration in Eleanor's journey, share it. Tell a friend, a family member, or anyone who might need a reminder that age is just a number. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories about how we can live healthier, happier, and more fulfilled lives at any age, support our channel. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, or simply share this video. Every action you take helps us spread hope, and together we can inspire thousands more to live the lives they deserve. Thank you for being here. Now, go out and make tomorrow a great day. Live, love, shine, today and always.